This is the most remarkable of all the works by Boston painter Richard Upton Pickman, entitled The Ghoul. Its most striking feature by far is the unbelievable realism of its technique. Such is the greatness of Pickman's art, one would swear it had been painted from life. This unique item is Eric Zahn's viola da gamba. This prodigious musician of German origin, who lived on the Rue d'Orsay in Paris, never performed in public. It was rumored that he played only for certain events, a fact not obscured by his tragic disappearance. Safety systems used on the Tube, London's antiquated subway network, may seem archaic. At any rate, there are accidents of, let's say, subterranean origins, to quote Pickman, against which any form of protection would be futile. The reasons for the disappearance of the famous explorer Amundsen are known to us only by virtue of the manuscript found next to the severed head of Robert Drumgold at 87 degrees latitude south. His body was never recovered. The Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered in 1947, are still kept secret. For some learned men, they are in fact famous narcotic manuscripts. The legend of the flood, like that of Atlantis, is due to far more ancient realities. In his residence at Relaya, Cthulhu influences the dreams of men. Hieronymus Bosch, haunted by strange visions, produced this triptych. The Aztecs hinted of the goddess Orihona, whose hands were webbed. The Orihonis tribes were most probably direct descendants of the great old ones. This statue was offered to Jason Wechter, the Boston music and art critic, shortly before his disappearance. There are eternal cults more ancient than humanity itself. Thus, Ithaqua, the Walker of the Wind, is known in Canada as Wendigo, a monstrous caribou carried by southern winds. Closer to our climes, this hideous creature is known to children under the name of Father Christmas. Thanks to this strange ring, or because of it, a Mexican worker named Juan Romero was given a role, a cosmic role in a mine in the west of the United States. These objects were found next to the decapitated body of the lamented Halpin Chalmers. It's difficult fighting with weapons such as these when you're condemned by the dogs of Tindalos. Many travelers, among them the celebrated climber Reinhold Messner, have reported sightings of these creatures on the high plateau of Tibet. Discovered in the Irem of antiquity, the nameless city, this lamp was the property of Abdul al-Hazred before it was buried inside his tomb. It was extracted from that tomb by Joshua Whipple, grandfather of Ward Phillips, and thus came into the possession of the Phillips branch of the Lovecraft family. The activity of Cthulhu's worshippers can be the cause of certain regrettable incidents. The schooner La Salle, attacked off Long Island on 17th December 1819, bears witness to this. This ice pick, discovered in 1933, is all that remains of the two climbers, Mallory and Irvine. In 1924, they set off to conquer Everest. Their downfall was perhaps to awaken certain forces. The Nepalese name for Everest is Chomolonga, meaning the goddess mother of the winds. This strange statue was discovered among the marshes of New Orleans by Inspector Legras in the course of an eventful inquiry. It's not easy to break a man's back, especially when he's a New York detective of Irish stock. But it is difficult to lead an inquiry into cosmic evil, as was the case in the Red Hook affair. These reels contain the greatest fantasy film ever made, The Nameless. It shows horror, the absolute nightmare. In a word, the unspeakable. Unfortunately, this masterpiece by Arnold Keene will remain unfinished, as the director took realism a little too far.